My wife's energy-boosting injections turned out to be drugs, and she was pregnant with another man's baby. 1 year later, her best friend revealed the shocking truth behind my wife's affair. I'm a 38-year-old man, and I've been married to my wife, Aria, for 15 years. We have 2 kids, Jamie, who's 16 and in 10th grade, and Mia, who's 8 and in 3rd grade. Both our kids are bright students, and I've always been proud of them. Aria and I met when we were in college. She was studying nursing, and I was working on my business degree. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love for outdoor activities. After graduation, Aria started working as a nurse at the local hospital, and I landed a job at a marketing firm. We dated for 2 years before tying the knot. Our early years of marriage were blissful. We were young, in love, and excited about building a life together. When Jamie was born, it felt like our family was complete. Aria took a break from nursing to focus on raising our son. 3 years later, we decided to have another child, and Mia came into our lives. As the kids grew older, Aria decided to return to work part-time. She loved being a nurse, and I supported her decision. We managed to balance our careers and family life pretty well. Weekends were always reserved for family time. We'd often go to our farmhouse, which we bought as a getaway place 5 years ago. The kids loved fishing in the nearby lake, and we'd spend hours playing board games or just talking. Life was good, and I felt blessed. Aria was not just my wife, but my best friend. We shared everything, from our daily work stories to our deepest fears and dreams. I thought I knew everything about her, but I was wrong. It all started about 2 months ago. I came home from work one day and found Aria giving herself an injection. Naturally, I was concerned and asked if she was feeling unwell. She brushed it off, saying it was just a cobalamin injection for energy boosting. Given her background as a nurse, I didn't think much of it at the time. However, over the next few weeks, I noticed subtle changes in Aria's behavior. She seemed more withdrawn, often lost in thought. Our conversations became shorter, and she started spending more time alone in our bedroom. I chalked it up to work stress or maybe some health issues she wasn't ready to discuss yet. Then, about 3 weeks ago, Jamie came to me with a worried look on his face. He said, "Dad, I think something's wrong with Mom. She's been acting strange, and I've seen her taking injections more often." His words sent a chill down my spine. I realized I couldn't ignore the signs anymore. I decided to take a week off work to stay home and figure out what was going on with Aria. The next day, I went to the office as usual, but returned home after just 2 hours, having arranged for leave. I used my spare key to enter the house quietly, not wanting to disturb Aria if she was resting. Nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I opened our bedroom door. Aria was in bed with another man. They scrambled to cover themselves when they saw me. The man, whoever he was, grabbed his clothes and bolted out of the house before I could even process what was happening. I stood there, frozen, staring at Aria. She started rambling, trying to explain, but I couldn't hear anything over the roaring in my ears. My wife, my best friend, the mother of my children, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. When I finally found my voice, I asked her what was going on. She broke down, admitting that she had been using drugs and that this was just a moment of weakness. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Drugs? Cheating? This wasn't the Aria I knew and loved. She told me that the injections I'd seen her taking weren't medications but drugs. I felt sick to my stomach. How long had this been going on? How could I have been so blind? Then she dropped another bombshell. She was pregnant. She claimed the baby was mine, but given what I'd just witnessed, I couldn't trust anything she said anymore. I demanded a paternity test. The next few days were a blur. I moved into the guest room, unable to look at Aria without feeling a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. We told the kids we were going through some adult problems and tried to keep things as normal as possible for them. When the paternity test results came back, my world shattered all over again. I wasn't the father. Aria begged for forgiveness, offering to abort the baby and swearing she'd never cheat again. But the trust was gone. I couldn't look at her without seeing her in bed with another man. I filed for divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, especially considering our kids, but I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies. Aria moved out to stay with her parents. I hired a maid to help look after the kids while I was at work, and I've been doing my best to give them extra attention and love. It's been tough explaining the situation to Jamie and Mia. They're confused and hurt, and it breaks my heart to see them struggling. I'm trying to be both mother and father to them now, but it's not easy. I'm still processing everything that's happened. Some days, I wake up hoping it was all a bad dream, but then reality hits and I have to face another day in this new, broken version of my life. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm determined to be strong for my kids. They're my priority now, and I'll do whatever it takes to make sure they feel loved and secure. As for Arya, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. Right now, I'm just focused on getting through each day and rebuilding our lives, one step at a time. First update. It's been about 6 months since I discovered Arya's infidelity and drug use, and subsequently filed for divorce. These months have been a roller coaster of emotions and challenges, but I'm slowly finding my footing in this new reality. Arya hasn't made things easy. For weeks after moving out, she called incessantly, begging for forgiveness and another chance. I had to block her number for my own peace of mind. She then started showing up at my workplace, causing scenes that were embarrassing and disruptive. My boss was understanding, but I could tell my colleagues were gossiping. I finally had to tell both sets of parents what had happened. My parents were devastated but supportive. They've been a great help with the kids, often coming over to babysit or just spend time with them. Arya's parents, on the other hand, were a different story. They couldn't believe their daughter would do such a thing and initially blamed me for not taking better care of her. They demanded that I give Arya visitation rights to see the kids. I stood my ground. I told them in no uncertain terms that I wouldn't allow a drug addict near my children. It might sound harsh, but my kids' safety and well-being come first. This led to a huge falling out with Arya's parents. They've cut off all communication with me and my family. The kids have been struggling, especially Mia. She doesn't fully understand why her mom isn't around anymore. Jamie, being older, has a better grasp of the situation, but I can see the hurt and confusion in his eyes. I've arranged for them to see a child psychologist to help them process everything. One night, about 2 months ago, things took a turn for the worse. I was helping Mia with her homework when we heard a loud crash from the living room. I rushed out to find Arya had broken in through a window. She was clearly high, her eyes wild and unfocused. She started screaming that she wanted to see her kids. I immediately called the police while trying to keep Arya away from the kids' rooms. She became more agitated, yelling obscenities and accusing me of turning the kids against her. Jamie and Mia, woken by the commotion, came out of their rooms. The look of shock and fear on their faces when they saw their mother in that state is something I'll never forget. When the police arrived, Arya tried to fight them off. They had to restrain her to get her out of the house. The kids were terrified, and it took hours to calm them down. That night, as I held my crying daughter and tried to comfort my shaken son, I knew I had to take more drastic measures. The next day, I filed for a restraining order against Arya. It was granted given the break-in and her erratic behavior. I also hired a security company to install a better alarm system and cameras around the house. It saddened me that I had to take such steps against the woman I once loved, but I had to protect my children. This incident, as traumatic as it was, seemed to be a turning point for the kids. They started to understand why I had to keep their mother away. Jamie, in particular, has become more protective of Mia and helps out more around the house. I've thrown myself into being the best single dad I can be. I've learned to braid Mia's hair. YouTube tutorials are a lifesaver, and I never miss Jamie's soccer games. We have a new routine now: family movie nights on Fridays, pancake breakfasts on Saturdays, and long walks in the park on Sundays. It's not the life I imagined, but we're making it work. Work has been understanding, allowing me to have a more flexible schedule. I'm grateful for that, as it allows me to be there for the kids more. I've also joined a support group for single parents, which has been helpful. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in this struggle. As for my personal life, I'm not ready to even think about dating again. My focus is entirely on my kids and healing. Some friends have suggested I try therapy, but I'm not there yet. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time, trying to rebuild our lives and find a new normal. The road ahead is still long and uncertain, but I'm determined to make it through for my kids. They deserve all the love and stability I can give them. And slowly, day by day, we're healing and moving forward. Second update. It's been a year since my world turned upside down, and I'm writing this update from a place I never thought I'd be, a place of cautious hope. About 3 months ago, I received a call from Arya's sister. She informed me that Arya had finally agreed to enter a rehabilitation program. The news stirred up a mix of emotions: relief, anger, sadness, and a tiny flicker of hope. Not hope for reconciliation, but hope that maybe, just maybe, my kids might one day have a healthy relationship with their mother. I decided not to tell the kids about Aria's rehab immediately. They were just starting to settle into our new normal, and I didn't want to disrupt that fragile peace. Jamie had joined the school's debate team and was thriving. Mia had made new friends in her art class and was always excited to show me her latest creations. Seeing them smile again was the best part of my days. Then, about a month ago, something unexpected happened. I ran into Emily, one of Aria's closest friends, at the grocery store. I hadn't seen or spoken to her since the divorce. She asked if we could talk, and against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her for coffee. What Emily told me shook me to my core. She revealed that the man Aria had cheated with was her ex-boyfriend from college. Apparently, Aria had bumped into him while shopping about a year and a half ago. Emily, racked with guilt, admitted that she had encouraged Aria to reconnect with her ex. I was stunned. "Why would you do that?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice down in the crowded cafe. Emily's next words left me speechless. With tears in her eyes, she confessed that she had always had feelings for me. She thought that if Aria strayed, it might give her a chance with me. She never imagined it would lead to drug addiction and the destruction of our family. I left the cafe in a daze, my mind reeling from this new information. Part of me was furious with Emily for her role in this mess. Another part of me pitied her for carrying this guilt for so long, but mostly, I felt a renewed sense of loss for the life we once had. That night, after the kids were in bed, I allowed myself to really think about Aria for the first time in months. I remembered the good times, our first date, our wedding day, the births of our children. I found myself missing the woman she used to be, the life we had built together. But then I remembered the betrayal, the lies, the drugs, and I knew that there was no going back. The next day, I decided it was time to tell the kids about their mother's rehab. I sat them down after dinner and gently explained the situation. Jamie, ever the pragmatist, asked if this meant they would be seeing their mom soon. Mia's eyes lit up at the possibility. I had to carefully explain that rehab was just the first step, and that we would have to wait and see how things progressed. As for me, I'm still processing everything. The revelation about Emily and Aria's ex added a new layer of complexity to an already complicated situation. I've cut off all contact with Emily. Her actions, no matter how remorseful she might be now, played a part in destroying my family. I still have no intention of reconciling with Aria. The trust is gone, and I don't think it can ever be fully rebuilt. But I'm starting to think about the possibility of co-parenting in the future, if Aria can stay clean and prove herself responsible. For now, I'm continuing to focus on the kids and myself. I've started jogging in the mornings. It helps clear my head and gives me some much-needed alone time. I'm also considering taking up painting. Mia's enthusiasm for art has sparked an interest in me, and I think it might be therapeutic. Life is still challenging, but it's getting better. The kids are resilient, and seeing them adapt and thrive gives me strength. I'm not the same person I was a year ago. I'm stronger, more cautious, but also more appreciative of the good things in my life. As we move forward, I'm hopeful for what the future might bring. Not a return to the past, but something new and potentially beautiful. In its own way. Only time will tell. Third update. Another 6 months have passed, and life continues to evolve in ways I never expected. The kids and I have settled into a comfortable routine, and there's a sense of stability in our home that we haven't felt in a long time. Aria completed her rehab program 3 months ago. Her counselor reached out to me about establishing supervised visitations with the kids. After much consideration and discussions with Jamie and Mia, we agreed to give it a try. The first visit was tense. We met at a neutral location, a family counseling center. Aria looked better than she had in years. Clear-eyed, healthy, and nervous. The kids were a mix of excitement and apprehension. Jamie tried to act cool and distant, but I could see the emotion in his eyes. Mia, on the other hand, ran straight into her mother's arms. As I watched them interact, I felt a complex swirl of emotions. There was relief that Aria seemed to be doing better, sadness for the time lost, and a lingering anger that I'm still working through. But seeing the joy on Mia's face and the carefully hidden hope in Jamie's eyes, I knew we were doing the right thing. We've had a few more visits since then, always supervised. Arya is trying hard to rebuild her relationship with the kids. She's sober now, attending NA meetings regularly, and seems committed to her recovery. It's a day-by-day process, and I'm cautiously optimistic. As for me, I've started painting classes. It's become a form of therapy I never knew I needed. There's something cathartic about putting brush to canvas, creating something new from a blank slate. Mia loves that we can paint together now, and even Jamie has shown interest in learning. Work has been going well. I recently got a promotion, which has been both challenging and rewarding. The extra income has allowed me to start a college fund for the kids, something Arya and I had always talked about but never got around to doing. I've also started dating again, tentatively. Nothing serious yet, just coffee meetups and casual dinners. It feels strange to be back in the dating world after so many years, but it's also exciting. I'm rediscovering parts of myself that had been dormant for a long time. The kids have been supportive of me dating, especially Jamie. He told me the other day, "Dad, you deserve to be happy too." It nearly brought me to tears. Sometimes I forget how grown up he's becoming. Mia is thriving in school. Her art teacher has recommended her for a gifted program, and she's over the moon about it. Jamie is starting to think about colleges. It's hard to believe he'll be leaving for university in a couple of years. As for Arya, we're learning to co-parent. It's not always easy, and there are still moments of tension and old hurts that surface. But we're both committed to putting the kids first. She's found a job at a local clinic, working part-time as she continues her recovery. Looking back on the past year and a half, it's amazing how much has changed. There were days I didn't think I'd make it through the nights when the pain and anger felt overwhelming. But here we are, moving forward, healing. Life isn't perfect. There are still challenges and difficult days, but there's also laughter in our home again, hope for the future, and a sense of peace that I thought we'd lost forever. I've learned a lot through this journey, about resilience, forgiveness, both for others and myself, and the incredible strength of family bonds. Our family looks different now than it did 2 years ago, but in many ways, it's stronger. As I sit here writing this update, I can hear Mia laughing at some silly joke Jamie just told. They're in the living room, working on a puzzle together, something we've started doing as a family on weekends. It's these small moments that remind me how far we've come. I don't know what the future holds. Arya's recovery is ongoing, and we're taking things one day at a time with the co-parenting arrangement. My own journey of healing and self-discovery continues, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about what's to come. To anyone out there going through something similar, hang in there. It gets better. It may not be the life you planned, but there can be beauty and joy in the new path you forge. Trust in yourself. Focus on what truly matters, and don't be afraid to lean on others when you need support. Thank you all for your kind words and support throughout this journey. Your encouragement has meant more than you know. Here's to new beginnings and the strength we find in life's unexpected turns.